So what I'm up to is I'm trying to fit a piece of plywood in a 1933 Ford pickup truck, not my truck, but I'm tasked with assisting. So you can tell in the video, I completely messed up my cut. I just got a new blade on this saw, and I was looking at how smooth it cut, not paying attention to the line I was trying to keep, and I just went right inside that line and completely messed it up. So that is quite unfortunate, but the good thing is I learned a few things, because despite messing it up, I used that as an opportunity to make sure I went ahead and did all the rest of my cuts. And I did it halfway in, realized I messed up, fixed it, but went ahead and made all my other cuts to see how this thing would fit in the truck to make sure, like, okay, does what I do fit? Turns out it didn't. It's a little bit narrow on the back end. I don't know why. Did I measure wrong? Is it just a caveat of this truck bed? I don't know. So what I did, I completed the cut, and I realized that there's just a little bit of a gap on the back side. So I laid this tape line. That tape line is just about straight. And now I know when I get my other piece of wood, I'm gonna have to buy a whole new one to redo this, I know where my lines are. I know that on both sides. You can see the thing, a little bit of gap. There we go. You can see there's a little bit of gap on each side now. But I ran those tape lines to make sure that it would fit right. Up here at the front, so you know where metal meets, it's never a true 90 degree. So I rounded off the bottom edge of the corner just so it's rounded off. And you can see that fits in there pretty good. You're not gonna get any better than that. So this is the bed, this is where we're at. Those tape lines will be my new lines. I will, after I get my final piece of wood and actually cut it right and don't screw it up, there's gonna be a gas pipe that goes right in here that I will have to cut out and route out to recess it. So with something like this, I mean, it's tricky. The bed, it is what it is. It's from 1930. It's old, it's had a lot of work done to it. It's not quite square. I took tons of measurements, double check, triple check to make sure it was right. Now the thing I will note about this piece of wood is I measured a skew in the bed. And if you look on each side of where we cut the wood, where the gaps are, those gaps are perfect side to side, which means my skew was perfectly right. Somehow I just mismeasured the bottom edge, how wide that was. But I will take credit for my skew being right. I mean, I could have been off, I was not. I just, for some reason, the bottom edge, I didn't measure it wide enough. And that, I don't know if I mismeasured, I don't know if it was just something completely off, but the skew was right. I was right on that point. I got it perfect. So once I finally got the piece of plywood that's the bottom set, now it's time to cut a hole for the gas tank flap. So the gas tank is situated below the bed, and this flap basically opens up so you can access the filler, and I can fill gas. Now, you'll notice a lot of truck beds like this, kind of the classic trucks, they have the wood slats with the dividers, and on this build, that's just not what the person wanted to do. They told me their vision, I was there to help them get that vision to completion. So to cut the hole in the bed for the gas flap, like you want it round, you like it perfect round, so a router like this would be the way to go. And I've got this circle jig, you can see I've used it a few times, and basically what you do, this is the center of the circle. You measure out how far back you need the router to be, and then you just drill out a hole. You plunge cut the bit, and this bracket, all this kind of just holds right in place. So when you're pushing, you're kind of pushing this against this bracket, holds everything in place. Now the thing is, though, if you're cutting all the way out, I mean, like with this, I had to do multiple passes. This router can only do so deep at a time. It can't do 3/4 time, so I did like 3/8, or what I do, like quarter maybe. I don't quite recall. And I had to do multiple passes, but if you're gonna cut all the way through, you gotta be careful, because as soon as you're getting around, like that cut's almost done, well, this thing is held in place by that center circle, so it gets a little loose. So you either need to put something underneath it, and from the circle you're cutting out to the rest of the board, just to kind of tack it in place with like some short screws, or you just need to be really careful about freehanding it. I just freehanded it because it really doesn't get loose until you're like really close to the end, and with like if you do short passes, like your top outermost circle will look pretty clean. It's just that lower circle that could get a little crazy. You've got the flap itself, the shroud and the flap, and then it has this little like trim catch piece, and so that was a additional piece I had to cut out. Now you can't really do it in a circle, like it kind of had a B shape to it, like the letter B shape. That I drew on it, did it by hand. Go really slow if you're doing it by hand because it's very easy to screw up with a router when you're doing it by hand. That's what I did. It came out great. I mean, the circle, perfect. And that is how you would cut out the hole for the gas flap. So once all that was done, everything was cut and right, it's time to put some sealer on it, just waterproof it, because this is an exterior and wood don't always mix. You want to seal it top, bottom, sides, everything, because you don't want it messing up. But again, like this is a classic hot rod. It's not going to be like sitting outside, but it could get wet. It could rain on it. So the danger is not like critical. Like if this was an outdoor vehicle, I mean, why in the world would you have a wood bed in an outdoor vehicle? You wouldn't. Once it was sealed, so the chrome strips, they are from an S10 Blazer, like the classic S10 Blazer from the roof rack. They have like chrome, not chrome, is it chrome? Might just be aluminum. I think it's just aluminum strips on the roof. And so on this job, took those strips. They were all equal length. Of course, the gas flap kind of you have to push it, and you have that one center strip you noticed is farther back towards the cab than the rest of them. But that's okay because there's like the classic cars, the 30s cars had a trunk on the back that was, basically kind of like a toolbox, but before it was a toolbox. That is at the front of the cab, so you can't see the end of any of these aluminum strips. Now, if you could, what I'd probably do is maybe try to recut the end of one of those things. I can't quite remember how they were made. Yeah, but you could kind of reshape that a little bit, might cut it and bend it down. I don't know. What we did worked out fine. But those aluminum strips, we lay them out. Where your center is. The gas flap should be centered. I'll measure the center, so it should be. And then you just mark where they are, tape them all down. They already have the holes in them because they came off something that was already done. Mark it, drill the holes, put them in, and it's done. Of course, I'm helping this person with this, and of course, like, hey, can you drill all the holes for it? Of course, putting all the responsibility on me. This thing, we're like right at the end. We're 90%. I put these strips in, and this thing is done. And like, hey, why don't you drill all the holes? Like, oh, really? You're gonna make me take all that responsibility to drill all those holes? But I did. I was happy to because I knew I did good work. I know I do good work, so it wasn't really a big thing. But yeah, this bed, it looks great. If you look at it quickly, you may not notice it's just one big sheet of plywood. But it came out really great. Like, it looks good. Like, you look, it looks really sharp. This is kind of like one of those like hot rod, flat black type vehicles. Very like simple, very. It's not right rod, it'll be all rusty, but this is just a very simple hot rod. And it's fun to do this. I don't work on many hot rods. I don't have one. I'd like one. They're a little pricey, so I don't have one. But it's fun to work on that.